Last time on Steely's Corner.
How the hell did you even watch this? Do we even own a VCR?
I saw her face.
What the hell is that?
She gets the same call I did.
7 days.
I have a question. Did anybody ever try to call her back?
We've been trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty.
I knew it. Next thing you know, you'll tell me Keith David was on Grey's Anatomy.
Your point being?
Shit! And not worry. I made it through, and I have nothing to do. Love, Uncle Charles, and Aunt Tiff. Chucky, the box is empty. Why would they send us an empty box?
Did you miss me?
You just couldn't wait, could you? I was almost back. You guys just couldn't wait, could you? Look, boss, I'm sorry. The package came and the box was already empty. Then he started running around the basement, knocking stuff over, and I tried to catch him, and I don't care what happened, okay? You and the clown go fix this. Now, I can't have a killer pop running around the damn basement. Fine. We'll take care of it. So let's continue. Let's do it, guys. Child's Play, Day 12. Like, share, subscribe. Let's do this. Hell yeah, Day 12. Ain't I supposed to be helping, jokester?
AJ, you're supposed to be holding the door. Why aren't you holding the door?
There's always been this kind of eerie quality about cute, plushy toys sitting in your corner when you're a child, that when the lights go down, you almost feel like they're watching you. Taking that into account, Don Mancini wrote an incredible script for a movie about a killer doll that comes to life. It was originally titled Batteries Not Included, but Steven Spielberg quickly put a kibosh to that. So, he decided to change the script again to a doll with synthetic blood, that its main character, a little boy named Andy, would mix his blood with the doll's blood, causing it to come alive, titling the movie Blood Buddy. But then when the director of the movie, Tom Holland, got involved, he decided to add a voodoo element to it, changing everything by putting the soul of a notorious serial killer inside of the doll, changing it to Child's Play. You may remember Tom Holland. It wasn't Spider-Man, okay? Kind of impossible, since he was, like -8 years old when this movie came out? The guy I'm talking about directed the original Fright Night, horror director Tom Holland. After that, he directly went to makeup and creature creator Kevin Yeager, who had been responsible for some of the greatest horror movie makeup of all time. He really strived to go the extra mile in creating a creepy doll that could be in any child's room in America. Taking inspiration from the Cabbage Patch Dolls, obviously Raggedy Andy, and a 1968 episode of The Twilight Zone called Living Doll, gave us the perfection that is Chucky, the good guy doll.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Kevin Yeager would later take the design of Chucky and actually some parts of the original doll to make his next famous creation, the Crypt Keeper. Aww, he has his father's eyes. We open our movie with Detective Mike Norris, played by Prince Humperdinck himself, Chris Sarandon, chasing down the notorious Lakeshore Strangler, Charles Lee Ray, played by Brad Dourif. The name Charles Lee Ray actually came from 3 notorious killers. Charles, obviously from Charles Manson. Lee, from Lee Harvey Oswald, the man suspected and convicted of murdering JFK. And James Earl Ray, the man who assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. Put them all together, you get Charles Lee Ray. Yes, that's accurate. After running a few blocks against each other, Charles Lee Ray decides to run inside of a toy store to take cover. As he sees that he is wounded and doesn't have much time to live, he decides to throw his one last Hail Mary out there, a frickin' voodoo curse, grabbing the nearest toy that he could find, which was the most popular toy at the time, a good guy doll. He begins a satanic voodoo ritual.
Sounds like a country song.
And then the toy store frickin' explodes. Awesome. With the case being closed because Charles Lee Ray's body was completely charred, he was obviously presumed dead. We move on to the two main protagonists of our movie, Karen and Andy Barkley. The widow Karen, played by Catherine Hicks, who you may remember had a prominent role as the mom on Seventh Heaven, and her son Andy, played by Alex Vincent, respectively. The struggling mom is kind of sad that she can't really afford to buy the good guy doll that her son Andy wants for his 6th birthday. But after being at work, a friend of hers tells her that there's a vagrant outside that has one in his possession and is willing to sell for half the freaking price. After making the purchase, she runs home to her little boy and gives him the present. Her boss tells her she has to go back to work and close the store if she wanted to leave early to give her son the present. So, her best friend decides to step in and watch the boy until she can get home from work. That's a nice friend. Night quickly turns deadly when Aunt Maggie starts seeing things in the apartment move on their own, the TV turning on and off by itself. Andy blames Chucky, obviously, and Aunt Maggie calls him a liar. Until... And wouldn't it be a great coincidence that Detective Mike is the one on the scene of the crime? Looking around the apartment, he starts to notice a lot of similarities between the crime scene and the little boy. The shoe prints that are left to flower on top of the counter match Andy's shoes to a T. The weapon that was used to make the impact on Maggie's head was the toy good guy hammer. So all signs are kind of leading towards this little boy killing a grown woman. That just doesn't make very much sense. But still very, very spooky. Karen decides to send Andy to school the next day. He insists on taking Chucky with him. After Mom leaves, Andy gets guided to Chucky's old comrade's apartment, Eddie Caputo, the man who left him for dead the night of the shooting in the toy store. Once Chucky gets inside and reveals himself, he decides to pull, a trick from the first act all over again. When the police come to investigate the explosion, what do they find? Little Andy Barkley, who murdered somebody again. The police decide to have Andy institutionalized because he's still standing there screaming that the doll did it, and nobody believes him. You know what? This has a moral to a story. Just listen to your damn kids. I know sometimes stuff sounds crazy, but sometimes they might be telling the truth. And if somebody would have just listened to Andy, none of this shit would have happened. I'm just saying. Anyway, moving on. She returns home with the doll to separate it from her child. But she takes that one leap of faith that a lot of parents don't. She decides to check the doll out to see if Andy was telling the truth. Mocking it, poking it, screaming at it, the doll does nothing until she flips it to the back and sees that the doll has been operating without batteries. Becoming brave, she decides to try to threaten the doll one last time by throwing it into the fire. And then we finally get the iconic scene.
I said talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch! You filthy slut! Did you with me?
Watch your mouth, you pissed off ginger. This is a family show. After the doll has a scuffle with the mom, he escapes the apartment building. She then runs back into Detective Mike, trying to get him to help her. But he's still saying, look, your kid, whatever, he's nuts, blah 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 blah. But she decides to track down the vagrant that sold her the doll. When she does, after almost getting freaking raped, Detective Mike comes to save the day. Wait a minute. Dude, you frickin' let her go into an alley by herself with a bunch of vagrants that obviously are up to no good, you are a shitty cop, Prince Humperdinck. God, you suck, Detective Norris. Oh my God. Where is Tom Adkins when you need him?
Duck. It's Miller time.
See? He would have stopped that vagrant from taking her to seventh heaven. Anyway, after the vagrant reveals that he found the doll outside of the toy store explosion, Detective Mike starts to connect the dots. The fact that the doll's name is Chucky, the fact that Eddie Caputo was the last person killed, who was a known affiliate of Charles Lee Ray, he pretty much knows the next target on his list, a voodoo man named John. Once Chucky meets John, John reveals to him that the longer he stays inside of his toy body, the more human he becomes, and if it takes too long, he'll be permanently stuck in that body. The only way for him to escape his plastic prison is for him to transfer his soul once more, but he can only do that to the person he revealed his secret to, turning out to be 6-year-old Andy. I'm gonna leave the story right there because the rest of it is pretty freaking awesome and the ending is epic. This movie spawned an entire franchise. Chucky has become the global icon of murderous dolls. I mean, you got your Dolly Dearest, you got your Annabelle, hell, you just have your generic evil toys and the Puppet Master series. But for almost 5 decades, this pint-sized prick has been the king of under 3 feet slashers. He's the frickin' man. Now we're even getting a Child's Play TV series, who I think about this time the first or second episode is already out. You can catch that continuing story on USA or Sci-Fi respectively. Let's not get into the remake. Yes, I absolutely love Mark Hamill, but that movie could have been called anything else except Child's Play, and I would enjoy it 10 times more. And actually on the set, there's a little bit of a love story. Turns out that Catherine Hicks caught the eye of the creature creator Kevin Yeager, and the two got married, and are still together to this day, in love. Don't you love it when horror brings people together? With a very respectable 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, 1988's Child's Play should be part of any Halloween celebration and watch-a-thon. It is a classic, making $41 million in the worldwide box office off just a $9 million budget. Definitely deserved the sequels that it got. Alright, everybody can calm down now. We took care of our little problem. We shrunk the little bastard down to nothing, and he's harmless. He ain't gonna do another thing or bother another person ever again. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure you check back in with us for day 13. And make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It's the only way to keep this thing going. So please, help us out, okay? And let's take a gander at what we're gonna do next time. Alrighty, let's see here. On site in New Jersey, Camp Crystal Lake. Camp Crystal Lake? Uh-oh.